Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at K.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of GoodPods. If you haven't heard of it yet, GoodPods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On GoodPods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find GoodPods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
And good Friday afternoon. Sorry, out there in KLR and Radio Land. I'm still getting used to doing this one in the middle. Anyway, so we're here. We're live. It is time for your weekend news roundup. Everything that you need to know to get ready for the weekend. Right here, brought to you by both KLR Radio, Digital Beacon US News, and with contributors from Town Hall, SHR Media, Red State, and theloftusparty.com. All joining me on the stream right now, and we're going to go in order. Next to me on the screen is Miss Amy Curtis from Town Hall. Good evening or good afternoon, ma'am. How are you? I'll get the time of day right soon.
I'm doing well. I'm glad to report things are back to normal. I'm back home. Water is running. It's no longer cold as Hoth outside, so life is good.
Nice. No longer cold as Hoth. So you're saying you're not having to use your lightsaber on a tauntaun anymore?
I'm not having to use my lightsaber on a tauntaun anymore. Thank goodness.
That was like one of my least favorite scenes of all of Star Wars, was watching them butcher that. I was like, ew. But anyway. All right. And right below me is Mr. Clean, known as Sean Lewis. How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. No, how are you guys? Hopefully you had a great week and we're all ready for the weekend. Yeah, no real complaints whatsoever, other than the fact that I look like this, but I can't change that. So here we are.
Yeah, well, there are certain factory settings that really cannot be changed without massive amounts of money, and I have no interest in doing that. But yeah, so if I keep messing up the time, I'm just going to go into our Bell's intro here in a minute. Be like, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be, because I keep messing it up anyway. And then next to Mr. Lewis, we have none other than Brad Slager, regular contributor here at KLRNradio.com, townhall.com, and Red State. And how are you, sir? How are things?
We're doing good. I'm not quite the tauntaun snuggler that you are, but I understand the sympathy there. Been enjoying the Olympics as the hockey is ramped up. So with the NHL on hiatus, we're cheering on the men and the women, and kind of getting a kick out of the fact that a lot of people in Europe are upset that they keep playing Freebird after these.
It's my favorite.
Beautiful to watch.
The Canadians are really upset to hear Freebird 5 times the other day with the women's.
Mm-hmm.
How dare they? You can't have national pride. Only we can.
That women's team is incredible.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. The Olympics have been a lot of fun. What I've seen of them have been a lot of fun.
I haven't watched anything but the hockey.
I watched some of the figure skating. I've watched some of the speed skating. Now I'm gonna mess it up. The Dutch woman who's like lightning. She's engaged to Jake Paul, and I can't remember her name.
The smoke
really
show.
Fun to watch. Yes, I was about to say that. Someone sent me a picture of her in a bikini, and I went, damn.
I didn't get the bikini. The speed skating one worked fine just for me. I didn't have to go too far into it. But no, and you know what's even funny is that I guess everybody in her country and liberal leftist lunatics are really mad at her for dating him because he is not of the left. And it's like I apparently drawn a lot of ire in the community, which is absolutely hysterical to me that and I did see the clip of the North Korean guy who fell and pulled the Japanese skater down with him. I thought that was pretty incredible.
I didn't see that one.
And that is, if that's not a metaphor for communism, I don't know what is.
Right. That's a little on the nose, actually. But yeah, that really is an insight into how the left thinks. You can't be happy. You can't love somebody because you love somebody. They have to be ideologically, politically pure. No, thank you.
Well, be careful what you say about my people now, because they are masters of the speed skating. The people out there just love to go out in the wintertime and cut their teeth on the frozen canals. But Judah Leardon is her name, and she's
Brad, I didn't know you were North
She's quite representative of our types.
No, she's really impressive. She was really fun to watch.
Brad, I didn't realize you were North Korean.
I hide it well. My height is
Very
kind
well,
of defying
actually.
that is what it comes down. Yeah. But I'm getting it's rather indicative of where we are now in our culture, that you can't be even neutral any longer. I just saw an interview with Kevin James, the actor, got a new movie coming out, and the media can't help themselves. They have to badger everybody with their political views. And he literally said, I'm not going to express any political views. That's not my job. Other people are smarter than me. I'm here to entertain and take people's minds off of the craziness. And people are inflamed that he took no opinion.
Right. And he did exactly what you should do. I'm here to talk about my movie. Let's talk about my movie. Sydney Sweeney, let's speak of another smoke show, does that very well too. That's what we want from our entertainers. Make a movie, entertain me. I don't want to care. I don't want to hear about your politics. I don't care who you voted for. Give me a good movie. And I'm surprised, frankly, that Kevin James did that, because he had at least here in Milwaukee radio, he had a reputation with the classic rock station. They met him once. He was not very nice to them, and it kind of was a sore spot for them for many, many years when I listened to the morning show. They're both gone now, but for him to be that level-headed and reasonable kind of actually surprises me, but that's how it should be.
That makes him MAGA.
I just want to back up for a second. Did somebody mention Sydney Sweeney?
That was me.
Giggity goo. Stick around.
It's funny because actually I've heard nothing but good things about Kevin James. So I wonder if he was just young or the situation was weird. But yeah, no, and I don't mind as much. Like I said, I don't agree with 95% of them. When they're on their own social media doing their own thing, fine. But when they're promoting a movie, when they're on a book tour or whatever, just shut up and dribble. Like seriously, shut up and dribble. Like when you're on your own time or whatever, that's fine. But I don't want it all just constant. I agree with him. You're supposed to go to that stuff to get away from it.
Yep.
And the problem is, I think Hollywood is at this great reckoning where they need to decide one way or another, because the numbers have shown that people don't really want them in politics on either side. That doesn't mean they can't have an opinion or whatever. And I know, and the Republicans, like with Nicki Minaj, everyone's embracing her for for coming out and being who she is with Trump and all that. But the trade-off to that is, if it's fine that when she's part of an actual cause or movement or whatever, and she's lending her face to it or lending her opinion, that's fine. But I really don't not that I would turn on a Nicki Minaj album, but I don't want to turn on an album from anybody and just hear about how this president sucks or this policy sucks,
Right?
or nice or any of that
Right.
stuff. I just don't want to hear it. That's
Right.
supposed to escape.
Right. That's exactly. And I find that when conservatives, not all of them, but some of them, enter into arts and creative stuff, they tend to be so ham-fisted with the politics, and what they're making isn't good. I don't want it from either side. I want to go and enjoy a movie. I want to watch a TV show, and I don't want to think about politics. I do that to get away from politics. And Hollywood I think you're right. Hollywood has this moment coming up, especially with the talks that they might go into another strike in the next year. And this segues perfectly into something I wrote down that I wanted to talk about. YouTuber Markiplier has a movie out called Iron Lung. I took my son, my almost 13-year-old son, to see it last week. It had flaws, to be sure. Probably could have cut about a half hour from the runtime. But this is a guy who took $3 million of his own money, and as of last weekend had made $21 million with almost no marketing budget, just word of mouth on YouTube. He also can really act. He wrote, directed, and starred in this thing and did a really good job. Hollywood, if I was in Hollywood, I would be shitting my pants, because here's a guy who made a movie that people are going to see, that's made a massive profit. He almost beat Save Me at the box office at opening weekend. I think they made like $20 million on a $40 million budget, and he made $17.8 million on a $3 million budget. He has to have tightened some sphincters in Hollywood. And if you like horror, I would say go see it, go support independent filmmakers. And the one thing I said, the best thing was, I'm sure I could probably figure out his political views, but he's never really made them known. That's one of the best features of this whole thing for me, is I just went to see this movie because I enjoyed this movie and I enjoyed supporting an independent filmmaker.
Yeah, and I agree that's exactly what you should be doing. I mean, there's so many great and talent. The blessing of the internet, we all know the internet's a blessing and a curse. The blessing of the internet is you have seen so many great people, and then when you find out something gets leaked about their politics, whoever, how many people get canceled and destroyed, and it's you love their content prior to this, and they're not talking about it in their content. Mm-hmm. Just enjoy it and move on. But again, it's everything. Somebody said earlier, everything's a purity test. Everything, it has to be emotional. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be connected, and that's. I've written yet another article today. That's all the left does now. Everything is to stoke emotional outrage and ignore any logic whatsoever, or somebody trying to converse on a normal level.
Yeah.
Well, look what they're doing at the Olympics.
Just to put that point,
they can't leave the athletes alone. The media has commentary out of these people.
Mm-hmm.
They're snowboarders. Who gives a rat's ass what they have to say? For starters, ask them about snowboarding, and then we've got one of the curling guys came out and talked about, we have to discuss Minnesota, where I come from, because as a lawyer, ... He's an ambulance chaser. This guy's a slip and fall lawyer with one of his cases in the past. I just happened to be looking him up. He was trying to get a class action suit against people that go zip lining in the Costa Rican jungles and got injured. Contact our office. This is our constitutional right, supposedly.
Okay,
he's
constitutional.
Blatantly ignorant about it.
The ones who did it right were the tennis players in Australia. What was it, about a week or so ago? Where the media kept trying to go to men and say something. I was like, dude, I'm here to play tennis. I need to focus on tennis.
Yeah, and I wrote about that for Town Hall. So
yeah, and that's actually one of the. Well, I saw it first, and then I saw your article too. But because there's. Dude, like today, I kept pulling up articles. I used 4 of your articles on my show, and by the 4th one, I was like, I promise, I didn't even see your name this time.
I write a lot, so
But no,
what can I say?
It's just funny. I mean, going back to the whole Hollywood thing, I think what happened, and this kind of started, believe it or not, back with Star Trek in the 60s. They started weaving in what they thought were important social issues, and for the longest time, a lot of the shows that came after it started doing the same thing, but they did it in small ways.
Mhm.
The problem with human nature is once you start pushing that envelope, you have to keep pushing the envelope.
Yep.
I mean, look at how they used to subtly try to push things past the censors in the 60s with music. The song Love in My Tummy, if y'all don't already know what that's about, I'm not going to ruin it for you because it's not a very good song. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
But they got creative about it. But then because human nature is we have to keep pushing that envelope, then they just got to the point where they're beating you over the head with it because grandma, when she found out what Love in Your Tummy was about, was having a coronary. If she was listening to WAP today, she'd probably have to go to the hospital. I mean, but that's just it. The left and the folks that love to push the envelope, and there are folks on the right that do it too, to a lesser degree, or at least it doesn't get noticed as much because there aren't as many people pushing that kind of crap. It becomes about the outrage factor because that's how they get noticed. I mean, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about social media, and I've been talking about it all week. Those of us that try to play center of the road and just try to bring people information, you don't get noticed. But you can lie, and it's fine. You can pay people to help you with monetization, even though that's a direct violation of Nexus terms of service, and that's fine. And they can post about it all day long. But those of us that are trying to do it the right way, nobody sees us.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, look at the other disconnect going on at the Olympics because they keep badgering U.S. athletes to go trash Trump, trash America, bitch and moan about the administration. But you've got Eileen Gu from San Francisco goes to Stanford for college. She's representing China. Nobody is asking her to explain and complain about the Chi-Coms and their human rights abuses and going after women and the Uyghur. Nothing. She gets puff piece, glorified personality. And it's obvious what's going on with the press.
Because they know she'll get murdered when she goes home if they do that to her.
Well, and how is that even allowed? I get it, but it's like the Olympics has become professional sports in that sense, right? Where they're having these people come over and they're paying them to compete and all this stuff. And look, I love hockey and the rules are what the rules are right now. But I said this with the Dream Team and other stuff too. This is supposed to be amateur athletes on display, and certainly not selling yourself to another country in order for them to buy a gold medal.
Right.
Which I think is absolutely hysterical myself. That it goes against everything the Olympics is supposed to be. It's supposed to be your country, your best amateurs competing against other countries in a goodwill, good faith set of games.
Yep.
And the Winter Olympics are absolutely the night shift cocaine friends of the Summer Olympics. Because you always look at the Summer Olympics and it's like running, swimming, normal activities. And then you look at the Winter Olympics, it's like we're going to run around in a rink with blades attached to our feet and just absolutely jump off the biggest thing we can find while in snow.
Right. We're going to hurl ourselves down an icy track head first at 80 miles an hour. A man, love you guys, but a man invented that because I watched the skeleton and I go, never in a million years. Like, I don't even go sledding anymore because I don't want to break a hip.
My favorite skeleton person is Alessa Crippa from Italy, and I don't even know how good she is at it.
No, I could, gun to my head, I could not name a person to save my life.
Well, it's like they say too that women's curling is pretty much the same as women's beach volleyball, just in winter.
Well, yeah, no, I mean they need to wear yoga pants while they're doing it for the athleticism aspect of it. Clearly,
clearly.
But this was hilarious. I wrote about this yesterday. NBC came out with an apology because a female skier was competing in women's moguls, and one of the commentators referred to her as a she. And the skier self-identifies as a man. So they had to issue a national apology, and they've edited out that segment that was broadcast so that it doesn't offend anybody again.
I love it when they eat their own. I love it.
Incredible.
Again, biological woman competing in women's skiing was referred to as a woman. we apologize for the misgendering
Right.
of the competitor.
Right. We apologize for acknowledging reality. Okay.
So here's my question: If it identifies as a man, why the hell is it competing in a woman's sport?
Because the Olympic rules now say
Well,
you
this
have
is-
to be in the gender that you were born as, which is the way that it should be, especially after that news about Amain Khalif came out where he finally admitted, yes, I'm a man. And we all knew that 2 years ago when he was beating women to pulp in the Paris Games. But
Yeah.
I was going to say, as much as I appreciated the clarity, none was needed.
right.
That's like saying that I am falling scared. I don't have to come out and announce that.
Right. Right.
It's pretty obvious just on that. And when you go around and you're beating the bag out of the best female boxers in the world, hands down, no questions asked,
Mm-hmm.
and you're towering over them,
Mm-hmm.
and you're built like a brick shithouse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The thing that blew that out completely in that story is, but you heard about it, and I heard about it, and they showed you pictures of him, and you're like, okay, well, whatever. And then they show you pictures next to a competitor, and you see the size difference.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And then you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
that is walking, talking, quacking like a duck.
Yep.
Hands
Yep.
down, it's got feathers. It's a
Mhm.
waterproof chicken all day long. Let's not sit here and
Right.
fight about this.
Right. And
Well, the criminal part was when the women bowed out of the matches because they didn't want to get their
yeah.
cranial rearranged. They were the womanized. They were hateful and intolerant.
Yes. Carini, the Italian, 47 seconds, I think that round lasted, and she quit because she didn't like it. Hurt. It hurts to get hit in the face by a man, and she apologized.
Yeah.
She apologized.
They made her.
They bullied her into apologizing to this man. And aside from just the obvious, I have eyeballs. Yeah, I wear glasses, but I could tell that was a man. He comes from a Muslim country. His body was not covered up. He was not acting like a Muslim woman from a Muslim country. So that was all a bunch of bullshit, and not a person who defended him, who said he was a woman, not a single frickin' apology from any of them.
And I equate it to, look, I was in good shape when I was 22, but at 22-year-old me, I still would not put up to Mike Tyson today. Right? Because there's just no way. Even right now, if I was 22 and Mike Tyson's 56, 57, he just had that fight with Jake Paul. He would still have cleaned me out 16 ways to Sunday, and we're both guys, and I would have an age advantage. He would have beat me around that ring like a redheaded stepchild, which I am. And well, not stepchild, but yeah, no, it's amazing how they virtue signal. They talk about women's rights until it doesn't apply to this. I mean, they have this hierarchy that is unbelievable to me on the left, where it's like, well, this is more important than this, and then this is more important than this, and women fall under trans. So as the women's getting beaten up, it's okay as long as the trans thing, because that's more important to us right now. That's what we're going to stand behind, and then we're going to make all the other women apologize for it.
Yeah, it's intersectionality. It's this giant whiteboard of you are more important than this person if XYZ. It's absolutely insane. And I can backstage, we were talking about when I went to Greece. We went to the Olympic Museum in Marathon, and they have the records, the times of all the marathons in the Olympics. Not a single woman was able to come anywhere close to more than half the men beat all the women. You weren't coming anywhere close to winning. There's no better illustration of the fact that these people are different. Athletically, they're different than looking at the hard data and the numbers and the times.
Well, and they have a tendency to throw out the unprovables. It's like, I see this a lot with like female weightlifters. Is like, you say something like, you're like, well, she won't be competing against a man. She's like, well, she'll beat you. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm almost 50 and I've had a shitload of surgeries, and she's been 26 and training her whole life to that point. If I trained my whole life to that point and followed her regimen at well, and you put me side by side next to her at 26, odds are I'd probably win.
But the women's soccer team, Megan Rapinoe, her team was beat by 15-year-old boys.
There was smoke too.
Yeah.
They weren't just beat. It was like 8-2.
Yeah. And this notion that, these women just need to train harder. No, the men invariably, the men who go into women's sports, look at their record when they were still competing against men. They are nowhere near the top of their group, like nowhere near the top of their fellow competitors. Then they come into the women's, and oh, look at that, they're making world records and winning medals and winning races, and it's so blatant. It's maddening. It's absolutely maddening.
Mhm.
I mean, if you'll notice, there's never any men or women that go try to play in men's sports for the most part.
Right?
All the
No,
all the women that identify as men, they don't want to go play in men's sports.
no, you never see, rarely do you see, the female who identify as male. They don't go to the sports. They don't push for the bathrooms. They don't push to access, men's wards, men's safe spaces. None of that. It's all the men coming into the women,
Mhm.
and the women are told to take it. The European Union, the European Union, EU Parliament just passed a measure saying they are going to grant full rights to trans women as women. They, on top of importing a bunch of backwards, Muslim radicals from every Islamic nation they could get their hands on, now they're saying to women, you also take a backseat to these mentally ill men. There is literally no safe place, no legal recourse for women in Europe now. And they applauded. They applauded when this measure passed.
And I've always said too, like I legitimately feel bad for the people who dress of the opposite sex and live that life that just want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've known them through the
Mhm.
years, right? Where it's like, yeah, I do this, but I don't bother anybody. I don't want to
Right.
be in this bathroom. I don't want kids to be involved.
Right.
They're just like, no, this is just how I live. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Like that's self-awareness.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that and respect that. But when you're trying to, like you said, the EU of all things, which is so funny because I keep getting told the EU is not a governmental body until it is a governmental body. It's
Right.
the craziest thing. The EU is turning into very quickly the new Soviet Union, which is absolutely hysterical
Mm-hmm.
over what they approve of and don't approve of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the trade-off to that is, or the reaction from that is, they absolutely will do whatever it is on the left for publicity and power and who they'll support.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about this on my show too. You think any of these leftist politicians give a rat's ass about any real trans person, or you think they give a
Oh, no.
rat's ass about any illegal? It's all
No.
about fundraising and
Nope.
popularity.
No. No, they will turn, and you see it in the way they turned on women. We're the party of women. Vote for us. We'll protect women's rights. Now all of a sudden, we're egg producers and womb owners and birthing persons, or my personal favorite, my governor here, inseminated individuals. I know. Yeah. So
Yeah, but see, this is offensive to the uterine deficient individuals out there.
right, who can't be inseminated, and there's no winning, and it goes back to the war games principle. The only way to win is to not play the game. And I'm a woman. Aman Khalif is a man. End of discussion. Like, I refuse to tie myself in the knots. And going back to what Sean said, yeah, if that's your thing and you're an adult and just want to be left alone, I don't care. Live your life, be happy. But when it's kids, when you start telling me how to police language and that I have to use these pronouns, no. And especially, and it took me a while to make this realization, but the pronoun thing, you don't ever talk about somebody's pronouns to their face. You talk about their pronouns in rare occasions, like when you're announcing on NBC, but most of the time you talk about people with other people. And they're saying, you have to use my preferred pronouns in a conversation I'm not privy to. I'm going to control your language in every aspect of your life. And so that I say, no, absolutely not.
Yep. It's unbelievable. And it's forced outrage for political gain at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing because you're now starting to see so many stories of young people detransitioning that are saying, hey, at 15, 16, I was lied to. Or I didn't understand. Why would I know what any of those medical words mean? I can Google them, but I don't know how they're going to actually affect my life.
Right.
There's a gal, I watched her whole thing on TikTok where she was trying to transition to a guy. She started taking all the hormones and all that other stuff. And she was like, I wanted to get into drama, or I was in drama. I wanted to go to school for drama and act. And part of that is singing. I can't sing anymore because my vocal cords expanded so much under the treatment that I can't even raise my voice I can't yell. I certainly can't sing. Nobody told me that was going to happen to me. Nobody
Right,
told me
right.
the same pathways for a guy's vocal cords is much bigger than a woman's. Nobody ever explained that to me when I was a kid.
Right. Right.
And the notion, like, my whole life is all my life plans are gone now.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yep.
just imagine the
Because-
hell they're going through when they can't yell while they're being outraged.
Yeah.
That's just, that's
mean-
where they're at now. They can't scream and yell
Yeah.
at the people
Right.
on the right who did not do this to me. It was the people on the left. But
Yep. And we just saw that. I think that lawsuit happened last week, but when we didn't do a show, but that $2 million detransitional lawsuit, and that's just the first one. The
Yeah, that's the first
Economist
one.
said the Economist said there are thousands of them that have been filed. Thousands of them.
Oh, and it's going to keep going.
And that's why we saw. I'll get to that in a second. The AMA and the American Society of Plastic Surgeons both came out. The ASPS came out first and said we're pausing recommending this surgery for anybody under 19. And then the AMA, which was up until last week a big advocate of transitioning kids, suddenly came out and said, "Yeah, we're not going to do it either." And it's because of this lawsuit. But I'm laying down the marker now. I would not be surprised at all if a Democrat decided to put forth legislation to prohibit such lawsuits. Because they're going to have to. If they want to keep this trans train going, no pun intended, they're going to have to, because it's going to, like, there's no malpractice insurance company is going to cover these doctors. They're going to be sued into oblivion. I mean, the Economist said these lawsuits could be hundreds of millions of dollars. It will bankrupt these providers. And it would not surprise me at all if the Democrats tried to protect them.
Well, the good part is because there's legal precedents, and goes back to the importance of SCOTUS being SCOTUS. I don't think that they can actually turn around and just straight out outlaw that. They could say, starting today, if you get it after today somehow, then you can't sue, blah, 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 blah. But we can't retro a law back to when this was in effect. I don't think that would stand the test, which is a positive thing. It's a very good thing, because a lot of these kids were lied to. And, I hate using the term, but it's very true. A lot of these kids turned into purse poodles for their parents to virtue signal to their friends.
Yes.
And that, like I said, if you're 18 and you want to go lop parts off and jam stuff into your body, I don't care. I'm
Right.
pretty much, I still think, we know that
Mhm.
your frontal lobe doesn't develop till you're 25, and there's still a lot of things you don't know, but that's the legal age for this
Mhm.
country for a lot of things, except for smoking, alcohol. I could go on, then it's
Yeah.
21. But it's funny because the leftists figure this out incredibly, that when they get to them young, and as much as the left is the left, they love to get to kids young to perverse their mind. Look at how they're trying to get them to vote at 16. Remember that big push that happened for a while? Voting should be 16. Why can't it be 16? Right? Because every kid is fucking liberal until you pay your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden people start turning the corner. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah, so you get that first paycheck and you're like, what the hell is FICA? And why did they get 30% of my
Yeah,
money?
exactly.
Right. Exactly.
And it's a manipulation, but it's also it's funny to see them absolutely scream about Epstein Island, which I agree with. It's a tragedy, and it needs. I think everybody needs to be outed and their involvement. I think we need to slow down with, just because your name was mentioned by Epstein in one email to another person, they mentioned you, that you're in the list, because that's not exactly true.
Right.
But then you see a lot of these pride parades where you have kids, and then there's the trans drag shows, the pride parades where people are running around naked, and they have these large phalluses attached to them in some way, and they're bringing kids there, and it's like,
Right.
How
Look
is
at
that
the story
I'm not
that came out this
getting
week? There was some
Go ahead,
woman
I'm
that
sorry,
came
Brad.
out and said, some woman said her 18-month-old child declared themselves.
And it's funny because my
mean-
son at 3 declared himself a fire truck, and we had lights put on him.
Right. My son said he was a pirate.
Yeah. Did you take his eye out?
Right. Take his eye out and get him a peg leg. But it goes back to what Sean said about them being the purse poodles. An actress, Annette Bening, with their trans kid, she said having a trans kid makes me a much more interesting person. There's never been a more honest and better encapsulation of that entire thing than that moment right there. It makes her a more interesting person. It's not what was best for my kid, because it's not. It makes her an interesting person.
Well, and who's
Okay.
the actress who's got 5 trans kids? I forget.
Megan Fox,
Yeah.
I
And
think.
it's
one of them.
statistically impossible.
Right.
Statistically impossible.
Yeah.
Even if you go
Well-
by the left standards of
Mhm.
what the percentage should be among the population, it's certainly not 100.
Right.
Well,
Right.
to quote my good friend Ordnance J. Packard, trans children are like vegan cats. Everybody know who's really making that.
It's
decision.
true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. And it's funny because I've had people come at me about, when you discuss this and they say, well, what if your kid ever came out? Tell them to do what they have to do until they're 18, then they can make their own decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That doesn't mean I
Well,
don't
this
love
is
them.
where-
Doesn't mean I don't care about them.
Right.
Clearly, there's something else going on there that I'm going to make sure that they're getting help
Right.
for.
Right.
But look at what you just said earlier about age limits, because they want to sit there and tell us a 10-year-old knows best about their body and lopping off their genitalia, but it's illegal for them to get a tattoo because that's a life-altering decision.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
they're not
and at
allowed
the
to
same-
drink. They're not allowed to smoke because those have adverse effects on them physically.
Right. Right.
I'm sorry,
Well,
what about
and-
vivisections? I mean,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, and the trade-off to that is that if you say that, then you can say that all the kids who went to Epstein Island were at age of consent, because according to what you're saying, that comes at any point.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And I don't believe that to be true, but that's not my logic.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
your logic.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And look at the guy in California, Scott Wiener. He has put forth all this legislation that has basically decriminalized sex trafficking. So all those kids that they won't let go to Christian foster homes, where do those girls end up? On the street, being sex trafficked, being prostituted out. Oh, but if Ilhan Omar gets on Twitter one more time and says Donald Trump is a pedophile, like
I
someone
think
needs to do something about that.
I want to weigh in on Elon, because I think that this is the last act of a very desperate person. I think she knows what's coming. Even if it's not prosecutorial, what's going to be exposed about her husband's fraud,
Mhm.
and more so. And I think right now she's just doing anything she can to remain relevant, because she's probably not going to be around for too long.
Good. That would, I will open a bottle of champagne the day she is gone, because she is one of the most vile people. She basically said we need to assassinate the president because in Somalia we execute pedophiles and the president is a pedophile. Well, let's draw that to its logical conclusion.
And then turned off her comments.
And then turned off her comments because she's such a brave warrior for the truth. Okay.
Well, and also in
Yeah.
Somalia, warlords run lands, not elected people, and they hijack ships and murder people on them. So,
Right.
I mean, if
Right.
you want, if you're that happy with Somalia, by all means, I'll buy you the ticket.
Right. I will go to Minnesota and help her pack.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well, hell,
that-
there's Somalis in Minnesota now saying that the neighborhoods they live in are part of Somalia, not America.
yeah. Bluntly, they can go fuck themselves because that is not
well,
how
you're
this
also
works. Yeah,
you're going to have to forgive me if I don't take a lesson on pedophilia from a woman who is interested in incestuous marriages. I mean, I'm
mhm,
sorry,
mhm.
that's hardly
Right,
somebody coming
right.
from a position of authority on moral, upright
Right.
living.
Right. And massive amounts of fraud,
Or
allegedly.
an accepted country where marrying an 11-year-old girl is totally okay.
Yep. It's just part of the religion.
Part of the religion. It's
Part
fine.
of the religion.
And
And
boys
even
are just
Freedom,
toys.
man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
religious. It's
Yeah,
religious.
it's not gay.
freedom.
They're just toys.
Yeah,
They're
right.
just, that's their
Right.
first. It's
Yeah.
the logic. It befuddles me.
Mhm.
Well,
And-
that's one of the things that absolutely grossed me out about, as I call him now, Pedo Pascal, who was photographed wearing a Save the Dolls T-shirt, and I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm done
Mhm.
with that, because everybody knows what that means.
Well,
Right,
except I do equate it. There could be a level of stupidity, like all the gay people wearing Shea shirts and going to Queers for Palestine rallies.
Right.
He could just be a total moron,
Doesn't-
and not understand that. Or yeah, what about all the good things Mao did? It's
Mhm.
just ridiculous. And the same token, I've had this conversation. They talk about Mao and Stalin, and you see the left like embrace this, and I'm like, they all killed more people than Hitler did, right? Like, as
Right.
much as you love to throw it out, they were way more monstrous, and he was a monster. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but they absolutely murdered more people than he did, and it never gets talked about.
Right. Because the people who cheer them and champion them don't think it'll happen to them. But what they don't know is the useful idiots for the regime were usually the first ones lined up against the wall.
Mhm.
Because
Well,
after you served your purpose, they needed you out of the way because you were then a threat.
Yeah, they knew
Well,
where the
let's
bodies were.
let's just rewind to COVID for a second. Everybody that was making fun of the fact that this stuff started in China was censored, screamed at, being called racist. Nobody wanted to talk about the fact that COVID was so bad in China that they were sealing people into their homes and waiting for them to die.
Welding them in, welding the doors shut in apartment buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Once a certain percentage in that apartment building got to a certain level of exposure or infection, they welded the doors shut and let them die.
Yep.
But what about all the good thing that China does?
Right.
Look,
Exactly.
Newsom was just talking today in Germany, where he, for some reason, is not California, but I've yet to figure that out. I'm closer to the State House in California than he is. About the Chinese are pushing out EVs and it's 25% of the market and blah 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 blah. And it's like, dude, if they're that great, just I know, like, that's the only time you clean up San Francisco is when the Chinese president shows up.
Mhm.
But let's
Well,
stop
it's just
talking
daddy
about.
home. We got to clean the house. That's what that is. But the argument about that with the EVs is what drives me absolutely crazy, because China has the same policy when it comes to windmills. They will sell them to everybody else, and they have this giant swath of land where they say, "See, these are awesome," and they don't use them.
Exactly.
Well,
right.
And the other thing that we don't talk about with EVs, and still to this day, it's almost like blood diamond. You don't talk about how all of the nickel and all the other stuff for the batteries is actually farmed, and the fact that it's kids doing it in Africa by and large.
Oh yeah, we can't talk.
Well, I
about
covered this over at Town Hall about a week or two ago after the Davos meeting, where they were just rhapsodic about the Chinese. They're our green partners. They want to be planet savers like the rest of us.
Right.
What
Okay.
they were saying is, let us provide you with all the components you need for the windmills, for the batteries, for everything else, while they're ramping up their coal production on like a daily basis.
Right.
Opening a
They've got
factory
three times the coal plants than they did 10 years ago in order to build the planet-saving components for the Davos.
and
city.
trust
Right,
me,
right.
They're not nearly as clean as our coal plants either. And
Nope.
the thing that drives me absolutely crazy about all of that is it's like the left, because it's all about the NIMBY policies, not in my backyard. They don't seem to ever grasp the concept that our atmosphere is technically an enclosed system. So whatever pollutes China will eventually pollute us, even if it takes a while.
No, that doesn't happen. And look, there was no radiation fallout after any sort of thing in other countries other than the country that the radiation incident happened.
Right. Right.
There's a reason there's a dome in Chernobyl. There's a reason a lot of this other stuff. But speaking of nuclear, and that's something too, you have this cohort of idiots in this country who think of nuclear from the 60s and nuclear bombs, and they've made this horrible thing. And they ignore the advances in nuclear technology today. They ignore the fact that they could do smaller nuclear plants and much more manageable. And it's way safer. And that nuclear waste is not these gigantic barrels of green ooze that are just going to leak out all over the place, and that the rods can be stored different. And it's funny to me because if we embrace that technology, I've seen a lot of different statistics on this, and we start doing the mini nuke plants and stuff like that, not only would the coal industry kind of go away eventually all by itself, with right, wrong, or indifferent, but we would also win that energy rate hands down. Hands down. It wouldn't even be.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
find it. I'm going to dispute you on one point. There is a component of nuclear that they do support, and that's only if Iran is in charge of it.
Brad, thank you for pointing out my error in my logic. Thank you.
I want to bring a fact check to the show here, so thank you. But there's one of my favorite stories though is where the Biden's green energy policy taking place in Nebraska. They've allowed, I don't know, it was like a $7 billion payout for Panasonic to build a battery factory. They've figured out after the fact that the factory was going to consume as much energy as the local electrical grid could maintain. So a decommissioned coal plant had to be brought back online to power the green energy battery plants.
Wow.
That is literally the diesel generator being plugged into the electric car. it's one of the biggest. I mean, there's so many fleecings that the left and the has put on this country, but the push to green energy has been one of them. The amount of rebates and cuts and all this other stuff that they got to produce. And we all remember what happened with Solyndra. California just shut down the giant solar plant that was on the Nevada border because it's costing more than it's making.
Mhm.
And
Surprised. No.
yeah, are you really? Are you
No,
really?
I said not right after.
We have the San Luis Obispo power plant, that's nuclear power plant, that's quote unquote decommissioned as well as Rancho Seco.
Mhm.
And the amount of upkeep and manpower woman power and manpower. I didn't want to offend anyone. That's on
Person
Ah,
power.
son of a
Per-
bitch.
person power.
That it takes to maintain it is not all that far away than it would be if it was still
Amy,
producing.
now you've offended all the furries, though.
Oh, that's true.
Good
no, I
boy.
Well, back to the nuclear plant argument. One of the things that the left never wants to talk about is the fact that we can now take thorium 222 and turn it into the thorium 232 and turn it into uranium 233, which basically allows us to burn much cleaner nuclear energy with much less half-life for the waste, and it's not nearly as volatile. So, I mean, if we were actually, and this is what drives me crazy about the left and the climate stuff in general. If we were actually using technology that exists now and stuff that we've known about for forever, instead of pushing the same hippie green technology they've wanted since the 60s, we wouldn't have islands of trash or any of it, because you can make plastic out of hemp that biodegrades, and everybody knows this. So there wouldn't be the oh my god, the turtle got stuck with a six-pack ring. Wouldn't happen, because it would be breaking down. We could be using thorium plants instead of uranium plants to power everything and have cheaper, cleaner energy. We could eventually phase out coal plants eventually with these newer, smaller, much more powerful nuclear plants, that because the technology has continued to improve, because we all grew up watching movies like Silkwood and like, oh shit. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, so the fact that there is stuff that we know could be making everything better. I mean, think about it. The whole paper straw movement. What sense does it to take a plastic straw wrapped in paper and replace it with a paper straw wrapped in plastic? You're still creating the same amount of plastic. It's still being thrown away, and you can maybe get 3 sips out of the straw before it collapses on you.
Right.
You can make it
Well,
out of
I
hemp.
bartended at a beach resort when they did that. And we had to go to paper straws for the frozen drinks. They collapsed. We had to give out 10 times as much. And the paper straws were all over the broadwalk and all over the sand as a result.
Yeah. Right.
And nobody's thinking about the cocaine turtles who need those straws to feed their habit, right? Nobody thinks about this poor animals.
Please think of the cocaine turtles. The Helen Lovejoy meme.
Bumping rails off their shells.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hanging out in bathroom stalls with RFK.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that would increase the loggerhead population in California, because you just know that they would have a local social program doling out free cocaine for the turtles that are addicted.
The amount of people that would identify as turtles would be unbelievable.
Am I now turtly enough for the Turtle Cocaine Club?
Yes. Yes, I legally changed my name to Michelangelo, and as you can see, I'm wearing an orange.
I'm loggerhead forward, and I have an addiction problem, so I need to qualify for your program. Thank you, please. You know it.
I always go back to the Bugs Bunny turtle where it do-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom, and how quickly that would change his entire livelihood. Like,
yeah, that turtle would turn into Speedy Gonzalez in like 5 seconds.
Yes, exactly.
The tortoise and the hare race would all of a sudden change dramatically.
Yes, that. Oh,
Parlay on Culshing will just go off the charts now.
Exactly. Oh, good.
Vegas is in a panic. What's going on?
I'll make my fortune that way, betting on cocaine-addled turtles. Oh God, that's too funny. But going back to what Rick said about the nuclear energy, and it's we've made that case for years, especially with the Americans. Like, we need to be more like Europe, where they still, in some places, have nuclear energy and use it. It's clean and it's gotten cleaner. It's affordable and it's abundant. The problem with all of that, including even the paper straws, is they don't want affordable. They don't want clean. They don't want abundant. They want to ruin our quality of life while maintaining their own. There were something like 600 private jets in San Francisco for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's like the same people riding all these private jets to Davos to tell us that we need to use our air conditioning less. I got two words for you. One rhymes with truck and the other's a baby sheep.
But, you know,
Well, did you see what they did for the climate conference down in Brazil? They mowed down thousands of acres of the rainforest for the economic policy meetings. And then on the last day of the place, it caught fire.
and
You can't make this up.
I would bet vital parts of my anatomy that there's at least one picture from that event of them planting new trees. Look at we're putting new trees in, and this is a photo op for us to put new trees in.
Right. I got my my shoes dirty. Excuse me.
Well, the best was that they had this highway they put in there. It was cutting off the indigenous people from the croplands that they use because they want to develop the tourism trade at the local port so more cruise ships can come in for tourists to go into the rainforest and see the asphalt.
Well, and you know, I mean, all those people, they really know what's best for us, and we're supposed to just listen. I mean, look, as much as everybody's angry about the Epstein files, the Sultan that was named in it profusely as being a major part of it, he's out of the UAE. I can't think of his name. Sultan Ahmed, and I'm not being a jerk, Ahmed Bidi, I think it is. He owns this huge corporation that is listed as a with a very positive light under the WEF website. And it's like, of course, I thought, and this was the guy who was doing some really disgusting stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's funny how they want to cancel certain things, but other people, they'll just, no, he's giving us the money that we want, so we're okay with this.
Right. It's amazing what paying somebody off can do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are coming to the end of the time for the hour, and I know Amy has errands to run and stuff.
Well, mostly kid pickup, but yes.
Before we get into favorite stories of the week, I do have to point this out because the 2028 presidential run for the Democrats is officially in swing because you have, as Sean pointed out, Newsom in another country, and now as well the occasional Cortex in the same place trying to make herself known. I just want to point this out because somebody's already floating this idea, and it's Harris Ocasio-Cortez for 2028.
Please,
so
please make that the ticket.
Becomes a thing because my new slogan for that is going to be putting America in hock beginning in 2028.
Do it. I can't wait to do it. Send it. I want that. Look, the best news that's happened to me this week or the end of last week was Kamala HQ rebranding to HQ and then coming out with Kamala. Just, you could tell she has no idea what she was talking about, what the website's for. I am so excited that she's back in the frame. I because I'll tell you, for my show alone, I need sound bites. I look for sound bites, and she was like, when we lost her and Biden, it made me work twice as hard as I wanted to find something good to play on my show. So having her back it just gives me the warm and fuzzies a little bit.
But
it's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be so much fun.
I think the funniest thing for me was when they rebranded and their new handle for like 5 minutes was HQ67 or however they put it, and all the kids were like, "Oh no, we're not doing that." So then it went to 68, and then I don't know what it went to after that. I have to admit I missed the whole 6-7 thing because I just thought she was doing it as like the year she was born or something. I don't know. And like I have 73 in mind.
It's this thing, because my 12-year-old, you say 6-7 in his presence, and he's like the frickin' Winter Soldier and gets activated. like, honest to goodness, like he snapped up and goes the 6-7 thing. It's so funny. Hi, Kevin and Alan.
My 5-year-old granddaughter does it to me all the time. She comes in from school and she's like, "Hey, Papa, guess what I learned about today?" And the first time I had no idea what she was gonna do, and she's like 6-7. I'm like,
So I do the reverse psychology with my 11-year-old. I start saying it first and doing it, and now we never have to hear about it in my house.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
She just thinks it's funny when I do it because she's so young. She's not embarrassed by it yet.
Oh no,
It'll-
no,
it'll
the
be
12-year-old is mortified. It's mortified. Yeah.
I love absolutely using all the little trends against, and I now understand why my older siblings and my parents loved using it against me when I was younger too.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah,
No,
there's a satisfaction that comes with humiliating your kids.
Yeah.
It's just half the joy of parenthood is saying stuff that embarrasses the shit out of your kids. Eventually, the older two learned if they don't react, then it's not fun for me anymore. But the youngest one hasn't gotten there yet, so I'm going to enjoy that while I can.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Amy, since I know you've got to jump soon, pick your favorite child for the week.
My favorite child for the week is a VIP piece I wrote, and I've written 4 of them since I've started with Town Hall about women in prisons, especially in blue states, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Illinois, and now California, where the ACLU and the blue state government puts these violent, sexually abusive men in prison with them and then tells them you have to deal with it and punishes these women, not only when they get assaulted, but when they speak out for it too. Women have been impregnated. They have been raped in California. There's a man who is on trial for the rape of 2 female inmates. And I'm going to send this in the private chat just so you can pull up a picture of this guy who says he's a woman. And this is what the ACLU is saying. Oh, no, he's a woman. He can be in a woman's prison. His name is, what is his name? Let me pull that. Tremaine Carroll. I'm sorry, Stevie Wonder would know that that's not a woman.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and just this notion that not only have we made these women go to prison, and I obviously don't know all of their legal background, I'm going to work on the assumption that they did something wrong and deserve to be in prison. That being said, they don't lose their rights when they go into prison. And why is a conservative like me, who is supposedly, Miss Law and Order, the only one who's speaking up and trying to defend these women? Like, not the only one, but why is it people like me who are speaking up to defend these women, and all the pro-women criminal justice reform advocates are silent, absolutely silent? So that's my favorite story of the week, as sad as it is.
And we do have him on the
needs to
screen
be-
now. It took me a second to get it
Yes.
to load because
Right.
it seems like everybody's sites are running really slow today. I don't know if it's on my end. Or
Yeah,
what's going on.
no,
It's
everything is
everybody.
slow. Everything is slow today.
Which I'm sure we'll hear about that in a few days about what was attacked.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably China again. I would be willing to bet.
But yeah,
all right, so Amy, where can
Iran.
folks find you? That way you can go ahead and duck out whenever you need to.
Yeah, I got a little bit so we can find me at townhall.com. I write tons of stuff every single day. And then you can find me on Twitter at Ranty Amy Curtis. The name is in my little picture there. And then go to Amazon, get my book Gaslight, because like I said, I've got a trip to Egypt coming up this summer, and my kid's going to Rome. My kid's going to Rome next spring for his senior trip. So I need the royalties. Very much so.
One of these days, I'm going to remember to get a QR code set up for that. One of these days, I'm going to. And Brad, what do you got for favorite child this week?
Let's see. Well, I already spilled on my Olympic misgendering story, but I'll just quick pimp. Go to either Town Hall or Red State, because Amy and I both covered how Abigail Spanberger had a barbecue fiasco take place. Damn.
Oh,
you
God.
gotta go see those pictures. Jesus,
Yeah.
it's a mess.
I did
But
it
I've,
in cooking.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. But the one I'll go with, I did it on Sunday, where I contrasted all of the mayhem going on in Minneapolis compared to the ICE captures going on in Florida. Because they keep saying, why don't they just send agents down there? It's like dumbasses they are. We've already booked like 10,000 people. Why do you think we have Alligator Alcatraz?
Mhm.
But the difference is all the time, the Minnesota cops have been fighting ICE, refused to help them out. We're not going to be on the streets with them. Meanwhile, in Florida, a guy got busted for snook fishing illegally. They found out he's illegal. Game
Adios.
wardens called up ICE right there.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing what happens
that's
when
how
you
far they go
combine
here.
and operate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and amazingly, Homan, once he got all of those county jails to start calling him now, or them, ICE in general, was like, okay, well, we'll end the surge now because we don't need this many people here if they're actually going to comply with the detainers as they should be anyways. Oh, yeah.
I just love Homan. He is just
I do too.
golden.
I do too.
We got to bring this up for a second though, because I would like to point out that it looks like whatever they're grilling they got from either the pet store next to the Chinese restaurant or from the Chinese restaurant. I can't figure out which.
Yeah.
I was going with roadkill or whatever the vegan staffer who hasn't set foot in a grocery store since COVID had to pick up at a last minute for this photo op. Especially if you go to the one that the separate link that I sent you, someone focused in on a piece of the meat at the back of the grill. I actually threw up in my mouth a little bit because what was that?
I did that on mine too. There's actually a bone sitting on top of whatever.
Is that a bone? I don't even know what it is.
I like to picture her in that moment with that picture, with that look on her face saying, is this what regular people do? Oh yeah,
right
no,
there.
that is the full tendon. Like that thing could still walk away.
So what? I mean, so what? Like, did they hit this with their car on the way to this event? Because
I promise you this:
that?
in that area, you're not going to find a single possum anywhere.
Yeah, I know where a tail is though.
Right on that.
Yeah. Dear Lord.
Good Lord.
And this is the governor of a state. Like, you'd think that somebody would have had a little bit of thought going into it of like, hey, maybe we should just put out a couple pieces up front and cook them for a minute before we really let people back here.
What about like
it's kind of
steaks?
Kind of like when Schumer was putting cheese on raw
Yeah,
hamburgers.
that grill that Schumer had was not lit, and I don't care what anybody says.
No.
This one, at least it looks like she was cooking whatever that mystery meat was. But seriously, there's plenty of celebrity chefs who probably share your politics. Call one up and say, hey, come and teach me how to cook, and then put some actual like T-bones on the grill.
Yeah.
And look like you know what you're doing.
All you had to do is set it all up and use your cell phone and take a picture and look at it and go, ooh, guys, the optics on this probably isn't great. We got to change a couple things out.
Right.
Yeah, but it shows you like just how insanely naive and like anxious they are to show that they're normal people. Because when you're on that level, you should be worried about that stuff, right? Like,
I think if
you go check my article out, I came up with probably 8 examples of them doing this kind of crap.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
and when they go to the state fair and they're trying to eat a corn dog or like a bobcat beef jerky or something, they're like, love it.
Yes. Like Jacob Frey when he was eating the Somali food, and he's like, and he's just chewing and chewing and chewing because whatever that shit is, he doesn't want to swallow it. Don't be wrong, I don't blame him because it looked like worms, and I wouldn't have put it in my mouth at all. But yeah, the Chuck Schumer, there was a thing from 2017. Kristen Gillibrand was cooking in her kitchen, and they took a picture of her. Her apron still had the creases in it from where they took it out of the package. Like this woman has never worn an apron in her life.
Same thing with Catherine Hochul some months ago, and she's holding up a burger like it was a scorpion or something, and he's going to hit her. She's just like, "I'm grilling."
Normal people, look.
It just occurred to me. I know where they got the meat from. They got the meat from Bill Gates. That's where that meat came from.
We know it's antibiotic free.
My favorite is when they try to do a peasant thing. When they're like, oh, this is what the peasants do, right? This is so fun. I feel like a total redneck right now.
Right.
Oh my God.
I mean, how do you do, fellow normal people?
Yeah.
I kind of want to just email whoever keeps setting these things up and saying stop, but then it's so much of it makes so much more content for us that I'm kind of like, I'm
the staffers who do this and the ones who let you eat the corn dog on camera, they hate you. They secretly hate you. That's why they let you do this stuff. Just FYI.
I am doing Indian stuff.
I can imagine Spam Burger sitting there going, "¿Cuál es este carne?"
The only thing that would have been better is if she had her evacuation hood from J6 on while she was doing it. That would have been outstanding. You know, to get rid of the smoke. That would have been just
right. Yeah, right. That woman has not cooked a meal in like at least 5 years. At least. And the most frustrating part about that is she's doing that. Well, and we don't have time to delve into it, but all the sewage is spilling into the Potomac on her watch, hasn't said a thing, hasn't made any effort to stop it. I know for a fact that things are warming up. I mean, it was cold in Virginia. There was snow. My boyfriend didn't go to school for like a week because of the weather. It was warming up. That's all going to thaw. That's all going to melt. That state is going to smell like shit, literal shit.
Like
and she's not doing anything. I mean, yeah.
Because San Diego and the Mexican that Newsom has done nothing about with all the Mexican sewage from Tijuana pouring over. Right?
But heaven forbid Trump repeal the endangerment findings, because it'll be the end of the world as we know it, and pollution will run rampant. Okay.
It's
Well, all
the
Spanberger has to do is have Burning Man held in Virginia, and then they could blame the smell on that. Solutions.
I don't think that'll smell enough. I don't think that'll smell enough like patchouli. for it to
Woodstock
work, but it's a nice
2026.
Yep.
All right, and Sean, what do you got for story
Oh,
of the week?
My favorite is watching the phrase "socialism's great till you run out of other people's money" come to real life, and that's going to be right in New York with Mamdani, who's come out today and had to reverse the rental assistance thing after he had to reverse the bus thing after he's had to talk about what a problem they're in, and it just goes to show you that the left will vote for anything and not look into it whatsoever. We all knew this guy was full of shit. I mean, his whole career, he's got no career to speak of. He has no absolute idea of how a budget works, but he was telling everyone he was going to spend this money before he got in there and saw the books. And yeah, and now it's backfiring. And I'll tell you, I am here for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
What they're
the best
doing
part,
now?
is finally getting to look at the book.
They got all the people that are
That's
getting
what
on the
they're doing now.
buses, expecting them to be free. They actually have the transportation guys going on the bus and pulling people off because they're not paying the. That's where he's
Amazing. He ran on making the buses free, but that's not just a New York thing. Here in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee County Transit System buses say on the front of the bus, like in a flat, there's an LED display. It'll say whatever the route numbers, and it'll say fare required. So people are clearly thinking this stuff is free, and while he's doing that, what is it now? 20 homeless people have frozen to death in his city because he won't enforce clearing them off the streets. The warmth of collectivism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So not only are homeless people freezing to death on the streets, he's now calling for a criminal who assaulted police officers with a knife to be released.
Of course he is. Of course
Well,
he is.
this is the same guy who said he was going to entirely deform and defund and change the NYPD, and he immediately turned around and said, "No, we're just going to keep Jessica Tisch and everything's fine."
Yeah, right. But what he's going to do when people start getting mad at him, and they're already starting to turn him, they were outside Gracie Mansion complaining the other day.
Yep.
He's going to come back and say, well, the problem is I don't have enough power. There's too many systems of checks and balances. I have to go to Albany. I have to ask for this. You need to give me more power. And you know what? His little stupid sheep foot shoulders will go, yep. They won't vote him out of office and put someone in who can make changes. They'll gladly give him the power.
Well,
and that's what scares me.
He went after Eric Adams for the mayoral control over schools and how he was going to end that immediately, and the mayor blah 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 blah. And then on the second day, he turned around and begged the state legislature to give total and absolute power to the mayoral office for schools. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. And I'll tell you, and you're right, Amy, they will absolutely do his bidding because they agree with the end goal. They know what the end goal is. One of the guys that is coming on board with SHR, we talked about this the other day. They know they're communists. They just know they can't say it as much as they would like to yet. They say it more and more than they ever have. They know what it is. We have to stop acting like they don't know who they are. They know who they are. We just don't have to accept it, and we shouldn't accept it.
Right.
Well, the New York Times is not exactly doing their job either, because you've got 20 people dying of the cold, and they did a puff piece on Mamdani going coat shopping, and his wife was picking out his winter coat.
Yep, the Carhartt.
Weren't they the ones who did the big piece on that with when he had the mayor on his sleeve and all this other stuff out in the storm? And the streets still aren't cleaned. That's the best part. The streets still aren't cleaned. It's just they're going to get what they deserve. And look, as much as I did not think that New York City would actually ever be that stupid, I've been proven wrong. And now it is going to be a watershed moment for the rest of the country to see what happens when you elect a full-blown communist.
Right. And it needs to happen. And I hate that because New York is a fantastic city, but they have put DSA candidates in other positions around the country. He was supposed to be their springboard. Their plan was to elevate Mamdani and then do the same thing in other cities so that they could have a socialist take over America and say how good it is. And it kind of hinges on him failing, and it looks like he's going to. And it looks like people rejecting, like I said, when he comes back and says, I need more power, people need to tell him, no, you need to leave.
Mhm.
And that's the only way we
Yeah,
stop
they
this.
broke-
What I loved is when it first snowed, Lawrence O'Donnell came out and was praising him. Look at the way he's
Yeah.
cleaning the streets, and this is socialism's glory on display. It's
Right.
like,
Now
dude,
there's garbage. There's 8-foot piles of garbage with rats
they've been
everywhere.
clearing
Okay.
streets for about 5 generations, but 5 days later, they've got
Mhm.
20-foot tall piles of garbage and snow that they can't get rid of. There's your socialism, Larry.
Right. Wait. Well, no, it needs even better. Except around Gracie Mansion. The
It's
streets
gorgeous.
around Gracie Mansion are clean of trash and snow because some pigs are more equal than others.
That's right.
All right, so we got to talk about this real quick before I get into my favorite story of the week, because I actually have one for once. So this happened the other day, and it was glorious.
Muted.
It's muted. The optics alone are fantastic, though. Well, there's who's wearing the pants in that family. I can tell you that right now.
And I love the fact that Gavin is looking around right now, or he was a second ago, like, shit.
Right. And look how red his face is.
Oh, yeah.
His face is as pink as those sweaters behind him.
He's blending in
Was
perfectly.
that playing or not?
It was
I
playing,
couldn't
but there
tell.
was no audio.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but anyway. So for those of you who don't know what that was basically when the first partner, as they love to call her in Califailure, basically snatched the microphone away from the governor and started pointing out that she was really tired of all the media asking questions about the state of the economy when they were there to stop Trump's war on women. And the reason I stopped it right there is to point out exactly what Amy was saying. Dude is so embarrassed right now that he's more pink than her clothing.
Yeah, just like I said, we didn't even need to hear what she was saying, and frankly, I don't care what she was saying because she's full of shit. But just the optics of it alone, he's behind her, he's looking down, his face is beet red, she's in front with the power girl pose. That's who you elect Newsom. That's who's going to be running the country. That Karen who thinks there's a war on women. And I'm sorry, let me look around. Nope, no war on women.
That'll make all the Democrats happy. So but the good news is I don't think a lot of normal women will be voting for that, but who knows?
Well-
All right. So as far as for me, and then we'll get around to final thoughts and give everybody else a chance to give out their contact info. I actually have a favorite child of the week. And for this one, though, it's not really a political thing. I actually finally got to write a piece about William Shatner, absolutely roasting somebody.
I loved him.
I didn't think it was going anywhere. And then I got up in the morning and saw that it was like number 4 on the leaderboard still at like 8 in the morning. And I'm like, holy crap. And then there were like 80 comments in the VIP section. And I'm like, oh, that story was fun. So apparently some little leftist moron said that, just because you went to space doesn't mean you're an astronaut. And he's like, that's funny because the FAA gave me wings for it.
Yep.
But no, and I'll tell you right now, there was a whole rocket full of women that we could have that same argument about that called themselves astronauts. So
Right. And they're about as much of an astronaut as I am, as I sit in my bedroom and talk to you guys.
I'm glad he pointed that out, that just because you've been somewhere, that does not necessarily mean you're an astronaut. So we can put that to bed too.
And I mean, if not for the fact that dude hadn't, I mean, even before he ever went to space, dude inspired so many people to start working at NASA.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so so that's one thing you really can't take away from me.
No.
And so that was a fun piece for me to write. But all right, so Brad, where can folks find you? Because I only have a couple hours till I got to start doing this again.
Well, as we said, I can be read over at Town Hall and over at Red State. You can hear me at Red State with my media podcast, Liable Sources, as well as on this network where Thursday nights I'll be here with Ordy Packard doing entertainment news on the Culture Shift. Tuesday nights with Aggie as we cover just about anything and everything in the news on the Cocktail Lounge. And then if you need more of me, go to Jitter. I'm at Martini Shark.
And Sean, where can folks find you?
Well, Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday on SHR Media, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. I write on shrmedia.com, occasionally right over at the Loftus Party, and you can follow me on X as well, the number 2 Against Tyranny. And yeah, that's it. And in about 10 minutes, you'll be able to find me on the couch.
Don't look for him on the couch. It gets kind of yeah. Yeah. All right. So anyway, as far as for me, you can find me later tonight. He Said, She Said is on a break because Aggie is out of town. However, we are doing a special episode of Kingdom and Country where we have Bump Stock Barbie coming on, giving a bit of a testimony before we have kind of a frank talk about said testimony. So that'll be in the normal time slot, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night, I'll be hanging out with the Amish one as we do a makeup episode for Juxtaposition. And then Sunday night, back to normal night for Kingdom and Country. Monday, the Rick Robinson Show kicks off again. Again, that's now Monday, Wednesday, and Friday starting at noon. And then Monday night, America Off the Rails, 10 p.m. Eastern, right before the bald Beantown Bastage takes over the airwaves just after me. And on that note, folks, we are going to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us today. I know X has been weird, so you guys are having to come find us right now because everybody's messaging me going, we're not seeing any of your posts. That's because I have to do them manually right now. So it takes an extra.
It's the same on YouTube too, because I've already gotten 3 messages to the same.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're gonna find out China's trying to kill us.
It's Iran.
Yeah,
they might be doing it on behalf of Iran, but this is definitely Iranian related.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that was supposed to be down here. All right. Have a great night, a great rest of your Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your weekend, especially for those of you that have managed to score a 3-day weekend. And I'll see you later tonight, right here on KLRN Radio.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.